This makes me nervous. I know that I eventually want to have a video put together of all of the bits and pieces of this pregnancy that I haven't been talking about and haven't been sharing. So I'm just gonna talk about from the beginning up until now of what this pregnancy has been, and I guess just maybe my feelings. So my pregnancy, my second pregnancy, I should say, has been complicated. I've only had one normal appointment. So my very first appointment that I went to for this baby was normal. I mean, I went and we got the first ultrasound, confirmed the pregnancy, determined the due date, like everything was good, everything looked good, everything was fine, right? At my second appointment, I was losing weight, which is normal to lose some weight. When they went to go check for the heartbeat, they couldn't find the heartbeat. So then we had to go into like an emergency ultrasound. Like I wasn't supposed to get an ultrasound, and we just like ran into this other room to get an ultrasound, and then everything ended up being fine. He was just like tucked away, I guess. I don't know. That ended up being fine, but it was just something that never happened in my first pregnancy that happened this time that like spooked us. That was the second appointment. And then at the third appointment was when we started to get concerned about my weight loss. And I had lost, I think, 20 pounds at that point, and just kept losing and losing and losing, and nothing I was doing was making me hold my weight. And I had lost like twice as much as I lost in my entire pregnancy the first time already at this point in this pregnancy. And so even though weight loss is normal, and even 20 pounds could be normal for somebody, it wasn't normal for me. It was just kind of a red flag that I was losing so much weight. I was also very sick. We were talking about potentially needing IV nutrition. Not entirely sure how they were going to administer it, if it ended up being necessary, but that so far hasn't been necessary, and I have not had to be admitted to the hospital. So that's good. When we were discussing my weight loss and stuff, there was a couple of times that I had to call the doctor like in between appointments because my weight was just, it was plummeting, like literally plummeting. My pre-pregnancy weight was like 150, and I was down like dipping under 130 and just getting concerned. Then comes my anatomy scan, and this is where things got a little bit more overwhelming for me, and this is where I stopped talking about things so openly. We went to the anatomy scan, and I thought everything was fine, you know, because the actual like ultrasound tech can't tell you everything. Like they can't tell you stuff, they're just doing the ultrasound. So I'm just, you know, la da 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 at the ultrasound. He was really low. Like she had to do a little bit of the ultrasound transvaginally because his head was so low that she couldn't get proper measurements of his head abdominally. So she had to do that, which was like weird and never happened with my first pregnancy, but I didn't think anything of it really. And she didn't tell me anything else. Everything else seemed fine. We go back into the room with my actual doctor, and she's looking over everything that the ultrasound tech gave her. And then she starts talking to me about the stuff that makes me so nervous. I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm making this because I want to document my feelings before my next appointment, because it could all completely be resolved at the next appointment, and I just want to have documentation of this period of my life because it's been very hard for me. So she tells me, first of all, that there's a light spot on his heart. I don't really know a whole lot about it. I tried to do a little bit of Googling, not that that's a good idea, but I did look it up a little bit. But what she had told me was, she said that 10% of normal, healthy, perfectly fine babies have this light spot show up at their anatomy scan, and it just ends up being basically a phase in development that doesn't show up on every baby, but shows up on this 10% of babies, and it resolves and is fine. Baby's heart is fine, everything is fine. So that was interesting, because I feel like anytime that your baby's heart is brought up, or there's just anything abnormal about your baby's heart, that's scary. So there was that. Then she tells me that I have placenta previa. And if you don't know what that is, there's complete placenta previa and partial placenta previa. Complete obviously means it is completely covering the opening of your cervix, and partial means it is partially covering the opening of your cervix. What this means basically, it can increase your risk of bleeding, and it can be like a lot. Like you can bleed like a lot. So my doctor was like, if there's any bleeding at all, you need to come in so that we can get everything checked out. But that's terrifying. The main thing is that you cannot deliver vaginally if you have placenta previa of any type. Whether it's complete, partial, whatever, you have to have a C-section. You cannot deliver vaginally. that's absolutely horrifying for me, given that my last birth was vaginal and that's what I expected to happen this time. It's very likely that it will resolve. There's like a 90 to 98% chance of it resolving before delivery when diagnosed in the second trimester. So mine was diagnosed in my second trimester. The odds are good that it will move out of the way. So think about it like a balloon. If you take a balloon and you draw a dot on it with a Sharpie at the very bottom of the balloon and then blow it up, that dot is gonna move. Even though the place that you put the dot didn't change, blowing up the balloon is gonna move the dot. So that's essentially what happens with your placenta. My placenta is just attached at the bottom of my uterus, and as my uterus grows and balloons with the pregnancy, hopefully, theoretically, my placenta will also move up with the pregnancy, hopefully. But it's just really, really scary. There's just like a lot of unknown right now, and it sucks that these things are just completely out of your control. There's nothing that you can do to cause it. There's nothing that you can do to help it. It just is, it just happens. And I don't think there's anything that even increases your risk. It's just complete chance. That's just where the egg attached, I guess. I don't know. So that's where we're at right now. Honestly, some days I'm good, and then some days I am not good. Like some days I'm just really, really, really anxious about it because it's just the what if. What if it doesn't move, and what if I have to have a completely different delivery than with my last, and I'm completely unprepared. I have no clue what to expect out of a C-section. I'm terrified of the abdominal surgery itself. I'm terrified of the recovery from the abdominal surgery. I just really have always wanted nothing to do with C-sections, and I'm sure most people feel that way. Some people, I guess, actually probably don't because they voluntarily opt for it, which is totally cool and fine for them. But I personally am just terrified of it, and I would just rather deliver vaginally. That's what I'm comfortable with. So I am just coping and processing. We're basically getting a whole nother anatomy scan in a couple weeks. There's no point in doing it any sooner because it needs time to develop and my uterus needs time to grow to check for the placenta moving. So I just wanted to sit down and kind of like talk about what's been going on with my current state of processing and coping before I go to the next appointment, because I might go to the next appointment and get bad news, and I might go to the next appointment and get good news. Whatever happens, I'm gonna document. So I just wanted this like preface to be in my footage to use whenever I put together a video. Right now I'm feeling optimistic and I'm in a good headspace about it all, but like 2 days ago I wasn't. So the next time that I'm in that headspace, I'm probably gonna film a little bit of a clip just to show you like the reality of being pregnant and having complications that are out of your control, because that's what they are, they're complications. It might be no big deal to some people and it is a big deal to other people, and there's no right or wrong except for invalidating people. That's wrong. Just because you think it's not a big deal doesn't mean that they should think it's not a big deal, because ultimately pregnancy is terrifying. So yeah, light spot on his heart and placenta previa is what we're dealing with right now. Hopefully it resolves. Hopefully after the next appointment, like the next ultrasound, I can make another clip that says everything is fine and not stressed about it anymore. But until then, I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait and process and cope and pray for the best. So today I'm having a not so good day with the whole placenta previa thing. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous about if it doesn't resolve. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about having to deliver early. I'm nervous about having to have a C-section. I hate how long I have to wait in between ultrasounds to even find out if it's moving or getting any better. I don't know. I'm just like right now, like I just really want to cry because I just hate how much of this is just completely out of my control and there's just nothing that I can do. I just want to share all of the moments, so this is one of my not so good moments coping with it. Sometimes I feel like I am dramatic with the things going on. I'll see other people's, you know, complications or struggles, and it makes me feel like, well, mine's not that bad. Or sometimes I feel like it's selfish to be so worried about a C-section, because obviously I just want him to be healthy and get here safely, no matter what that means for me, right? But every time that I see a video of a C-section, I just start crying. I don't know if it's because I haven't had that experience and it's the fear of the unknown. I really don't know why it affects me so much, but then there's just the fear in the everyday, the anxiety in the everyday, every weird feeling I feel every time I get crampy, every time it's been a little bit since he's been kicking, like so much anxiety. And I've already had a bunch of pregnancy anxiety with my first pregnancy when there was nothing going on. And so now I'm sitting here, anytime that I feel like he hasn't been moving for a while, I'm sitting here thinking about the fact that on the last ultrasound there was an abnormality with his heart, and I'm just like, I start freaking out. Just like with the placenta thing, like, I don't know, like I get so like mad at myself for being so worried about it, because I just feel like it's not that big a deal, even though I guess like it is. Like, I don't know, I constantly invalidate my own feelings, and I need to stop doing that, because regardless of other people's struggle, regardless of how much things could be worse, the situation still sucks, and I still have every right to be scared. I have every right to be sad that the experience might not be what I thought it would be, or might not be what I want it to be. I need to stop invalidating myself. I don't know. Every time I take these little videos of how I'm feeling, I always feel like, oh, I'm probably not even gonna make a video out of these. I'm probably never gonna use these, but I want to make myself, I want to document the real feelings while I'm not sharing it publicly. Because one day, this is gonna help somebody. This is gonna help somebody out there is silently struggling with the same information. And I want it to help them. I want them to know that it's okay to feel all of these things. It's okay to not know. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel all of these things. It's normal to feel all of these things. I just want him to be okay, but I also want me to be okay. I'm just praying so hard that it's just miraculously all resolved at my next ultrasound, because it very well could be. And even my doctor told me, like, my doctor is like currently not concerned about his heart. Like, she really thinks that it's just like a weird blip in development that is going to not even be there at the next ultrasound, and she thinks that it'll be fine and resolved, hopefully. If it's not resolved, then we have to get like an EKG on his heart, however you do that, whatever that means. But I just feel like if I go to this next ultrasound and my placenta is still covering my cervix, I just feel like I'm gonna lose it. And there's still so much time, like there's still so much time for it to move, but like, oh, the everyday, like, it's just beating me up. Like, I just want the peace of being able to at least hope for a vaginal delivery. Like, right now I have like no hope for a vaginal delivery, and right now I'm trying to figure out how to even mentally prepare myself for a C-section or prepare myself for an early delivery, because that's another thing that I've found out with placenta previa is you might have to deliver early because it's too risky to let your body go into labor on its own. So they have to deliver you before your body has a chance to go into labor on its own, because if it does, then you can have very severe bleeding and it just can get bad quick. And I'm just scared. I'm scared. That's the best word for it. I'm scared. And I don't know anybody that's gone through it. I don't know anybody that has had placenta previa and had it resolve or had it not resolve. I just don't have anybody that I can talk to about it even. So that's why I'm documenting how I feel, because somebody out there has placenta previa and somebody out there is scared shitless. So you're not alone. You're not alone, and you're not dramatic. And you're not selfish. Hello. So tomorrow is the appointment to get another ultrasound and see what's going on, see if there's still a abnormal spot on his heart, see if I'm still having placenta previa. So I just wanted to make another clip checking in. Again, I know the last clip that I filmed was an emotional one. Honestly, right now I feel very 50-50. The last couple of days I've been having increasing anxiety over his heart, and that's kind of where my focus has shifted. I've just been very worried about it and just very nervous that this ultrasound is, I'm just scared of it still being there at this ultrasound, because if it's still there at this ultrasound, then it is something, and I'm just scared of that. And hopefully it won't be there, and hopefully we won't have to do anything further with that, but who knows? That's kind of been like the height of my anxiety though. Like, I've been a lot more worried about that, I guess, since the last clip. I don't know when I took the last clip, but it's been some days, but I've been a lot more worried about that lately. In terms of the placenta previa, I mean, I'm not really like torn about, I don't know how to explain it, but I just have a feeling that it's not going to be resolved as of tomorrow. I feel like it definitely still could resolve before delivering, but I feel like right now I just have a gut feeling that it's still going to be like that it's not going to be moved out of the way. Praying that it is moved out of the way. But one of the things that I have experienced a lot in this pregnancy that I didn't have with Bentley is like vaginal pressure or pain. I don't even know, like, I guess I wouldn't really call it pain. And I don't know if it is because of the placenta previa or if it's just like a symptom that I'm having this time. So don't like quote me on it. I really have no idea if it has to do with the placenta previa, but I have just had so much freaking pressure on my coochie. It literally feels the way that it felt whenever I was dilating and in labor with my first son. Like pressure. It's just been uncomfortable. And like, I don't even mean like my abdomen, like I literally mean my cervix. And so like, that's why I'm assuming that it's because of placenta previa, because I didn't have that last time, and my placenta's sitting there and then he's also sitting low. So there's just like a lot that's kind of like pushing on my cervix. So it would like make sense for it to feel like there's pressure. That's just been like super annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that's been going on. I've been trying really hard to cope and come to terms with the placenta previa thing, because in the grand scheme of things, like it's very low risk, if that makes any sense. Like, the odds of it actually causing like a problem with my health or my baby's health like are slim. Like, I don't think that I've even heard of a case of, well, I don't know. I don't want to say anything that's wrong, and I don't want to put any misinformation out there, but I just am trying to cope and process everything. And I feel like in my heart, like even if the placenta previa doesn't clear up, and I do have to have a C-section because of it, I feel like that's all that it's going to be. Like, I don't think that it's going to affect him. I think that he's going to be fine and healthy and good, and I think that I will survive. I will have a harder recovery, but I will be fine. That's at least where my headspace is today. Like, today I'm feeling kind of okay about it. Not excited by any means. I definitely want it to resolve so that I can start at least hoping for a vaginal delivery. But it just scares me, because obviously no matter what in any pregnancy, there's always a risk of a C-section. You could go into labor thinking you're gonna have a vaginal delivery and something go sideways and have to get a C-section. I almost had a C-section with my first because of things going weird in my labor. You can watch my birth story if you want to know about all that. Nonetheless, it's just a little bit different to think like I might have no choice, you know what I mean? But I've been coming to terms with that information a bit more, and I'm trying not to worry about that as much because like it really isn't something that should break me. You know what I mean? Like, I think more than anything, it's just that it's not time to worry about that yet. There's no sense in worrying about it yet because there's still so much time for it to resolve. Like, if we get down the road and I'm 30 something weeks and we're getting closer and closer and it's still not resolving, I don't know how I'm going to be doing mentally with it then. But right now, I'm just trying to focus on the fact that there's still so much time for it to move, and that in comparison to something being wrong with his heart, I think you know which one I care about a little bit more. You know what I mean? So I've just been trying to clear my head, trying to stay calm and faithful with everything, but I've definitely been getting a lot more nervous about his heart. I think it's just because I've had a couple of days that I started worrying about reduced fetal movement. I know that it's like early in my gestation for like accurate kick counts. Like most of the time you don't really like do kick counts until I think after 28 weeks, because the baby could still very much so just be positioned facing your back, positioned in some type of way that just makes it to where you can't feel it. But there was just a couple of days that I was, you know, texting my family and stuff, just asking for some extra prayer because I was just super nervous because it had been a really long time. But I got him moving again. I would check him on the fetal Doppler and he was all good. So far he's been good. So far he's been very, very active, much more active than B ever was. It's just constantly on my mind that there could be something wrong with his heart, and I'm just terrified that there might be. And if I go to this appointment tomorrow and get the ultrasound and there is still something wrong with his heart, and then we have to take next steps and get an EKG or a fetal echo, or I don't know what it is. I don't have very much information on it yet, so just take everything with a grain of salt because I just don't have the information yet. But I just know my doctor said something about extra ultrasounds, special ultrasounds, EKG on him, something like that. And my anxiety is at an all-time high. I don't know if you can tell, but I one, stutter a lot whenever I have really high anxiety, and I just like mess with my fingers and my hands a lot when I have really high anxiety. So I'm probably gonna watch this video back and see a ton of that. I mess with my hair a lot too when I'm really anxious, but I'm just trying so hard to stay positive and stay in a good headspace today because I know that if I let it, my anxiety will eat me alive today. And I don't want to spend all day just crying and bawling and being worried about tomorrow, because stress isn't good for the baby. It's not good for me. It's not good for anybody. Hopefully tomorrow this will all be over. Hopefully tomorrow we will go in and there will be nothing abnormal showing on his heart. My placenta will be moved. Like, that is the absolute best case scenario that we can hope for. I will make a clip updating you on whatever happens at the appointment, and then I'm probably gonna post it. So that's also a little bit nerve-wracking. I've had a lot of people trying to comment and say that I'm lying about my complications because I haven't been sharing them yet. It's just comical to me when I've like spent the last like weeks making this video. So whenever this video gets posted, hey, do you feel silly? I don't think I have anything else to say. I'm in a pretty decent headspace today. I'm gonna try to keep it that way. Hopefully the next clip is a good, positive, happy clip. Let's keep our spirits high. Okay, well, I just got to the doctor and I'm not gonna lie to you, my stomach is in knots and I am so nervous. I'm so nervous. I don't have much to say because I'm literally just full of anxiety right now. But just praying I get some form of good news. Somehow. Some form of good news. I will update you after the appointment. You know, when you're like so nervous that it makes your stomach feel like you're like literally gonna shit yourself? That's what I feel like right now. I literally feel like I'm about to just... Yeah. I also feel like choked up. Like I feel like I'm gonna cry. I'm just like so nervous. I always get so nervous right before ultrasounds, even if there's like not anything like scary that we're checking on. Bentley's nervous too, so oh god, I'm just so nervous. Here we go. So we got good news. We got the best possible news. I am so relieved. I literally, my eyes started watering because I was just so relieved. But his heart is all good, all clear, nothing to worry about on that end, and my placenta is completely moved out of the way. My doctor said that it's all good news. I've also now finally officially started gaining weight. I'm up 4 pounds. That's also really good news. And yeah, she said that basically now we can just move forward and not have anything to worry about. We just move forward like any other regular normal pregnancy and everything is good. And I just can't believe it. It's answered prayers. It's the best possible outcome I could have possibly asked for. Thank you to everybody that has been following my Instagram and my TikTok and sending good vibes, good thoughts, kind words, and praying for me. I really appreciate it. I really wouldn't have gotten through this with as good of a mindset as I did without all of your support. So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for being patient and respectful while I went through this process on my own in the way that I needed to. And I'm just ready to move forward now, and I'm excited to just relax and enjoy the rest of my pregnancy and just not be so freaking scared. So I'm just so happy that this is the clip that I'm making right now. I'm just so happy that this is the news that I get to come back with. So just thank you so much, and I love you so much, and thank you for being here. Thank you for being on this journey with me, and I just thank you, and I love you. I will see you guys next time, I guess.